environment. And I am excited to introduce you to a few of my friends, and they're going to be helping me get this launch going. So welcome. And I asked my friends to bring a hat. Now, in my 70th birthday party, I actually wore a hat and commented that it was my coming out to be visible. And how many of us have been hiding the best parts of us, or the fun parts of us, or parts that aren't accepted by, you know, our colleagues or our bosses or whatever. And when I started coaching school, which was about 4 years ago, well, I had written an email to a friend whose birthday was a week away. And for some reason, I felt impressed to share the fact that I was doing something courageous, and told my friend that I was going to wear a hat to her birthday party. And her response wasn't quite what I expected. She says, yeah, I'll be probably just you and my sister maybe wearing a hat. Well, there turned out to be 3 or 4 of us, and this was the hat that I wore to her birthday party. Well, so when I told my classmates my story of wearing a hat and sticking my neck out, they asked me to bring it in the next day. So I took not one hat, I took 5 or 6 hats. So every time we had a break, I would change into a different hat. You know, I only have it on for 3-4 minutes maybe, but I realize now that it was kind of symbolic for a coming out, a transformation, a new side of Sharon. And it takes something often like an impetus of something, you know, I think from our subconscious that says it wants to be seen or expressed in a different way, because hats have now become very symbolic to me about being seen. And eventually that went on to being influencer. So my book is definitely a step in the direction of being an influencer. And you know, that takes a lot of courage. In fact, I've been doing a series on Instagram called Queen of Courage, and lots of things in life require courage. So I have my speakers today are either going to talk about how they know me, or how they're doing things that complement what I do. And I hope it'll be interesting for you, because it's not just me doing all the talking. So Duane, I know from Dallas, Texas. We tried to do some business development for a company that was in the UK at the time. And, you know, I think, Duane, you told me one time you could see me, that's going to choke me up. You can see me helping provide income for third world country women. And you probably never remember that, but that has stuck with me. And at the time, and over the years, I've kind of thought about, well, it might be that I would teach people in other countries to sew, because I like to sew. And this is my artwork here with fabric. So Duane has made an impression on me, and she's brought her hat. Tell us your hat story, Duane. And she's got to catch a plane, so we're going to hear from her first. Welcome.
I'm so excited about your new book. It's awesome. I have enjoyed, I've ordered my copy already, but I chose this hat today because it brings me into a sense of myself that often people might not see. And that is this sense of kind of a little on the edge. It's so different from a ball cap or a gardening hat. It is a hat that when I walk down the street, people turn their head and look at it because it's a little different. But it also reminds me of something a little more exotic, a little more international than what I live in my world. So I love this hat, and it's at the end of summer, so it's about to go into my hat box. But I'm happy to share it today and be here with you, Sharon, to celebrate your Fresh Courage book. And I remember us in Dallas in a conference room, and you know, we were collaborating and exploring and visioning what might be possible for us as a consultancy internationally. And I remember several of us, Anthony was another, and we had this deep passion to do something that was bigger than ourselves. And that's what I remember, that connection. And the more we began to talk and the more I began to know you, I could see this seed of something that was just dormant, just waiting, waiting to be watered and nourished. And I could just see you at the threshold of starting to bloom. And it was such a joy to have seen you through the years as you moved away and I moved back to Texas in a different place, and so many things happened, but the seed was there. And I think we witnessed it in one another. And that was something that lights me up every time I think about it. One of the ways I think about you is exactly the imprint of you in that jewel. So the seed turned into a jewel as you began to describe it. And it radiates who you are. And I love that nature rings, sculpture nature rings that you tied to your essence statement. It's such a beautiful impression for people to hold. The first thing that came to my mind was the rings around Saturn. I thought of another form of rings that was, you know, even bigger. So I know there's more. So what do you know, one thing I find interesting about talking about retirement is that it has become kind of a made up construct. Way back, it didn't really start until in Germany, like in I wrote it down, 1859 or something, was the first time, and it had to do with what are we going to do with people and their retirement monies, their something to do with money. And I thought, you know, retirement is really not like that. For me, it's just another segment of life. And what you've done in your book, I really see and feel, is a reboot. It's like, how are we going to reboot ourselves for this next segment of our lives? So, you know, it's encouraging, it's inspiring. It makes me want to see how this will unfold, how it will spread, how you will continue. These seeds are going to be just transplanted around the country and wherever they go. So I'm so proud to think about life expectancy doesn't stop when we turn 65 or 70 or 75. It's just as long as we have a passion to keep living, then it's going to reform and reshape itself. So I'm so excited for people to read your book.
Well, and Duane also, I shared her story in the 7th chapter, because Duane, there's a peace and calm about Duane that is just so attractive. And she lives near a stream. Is that right? Is that what keeps you kind of centered and calm? Cool?
You know, I live in nature. I live in a small village between Austin and San Antonio. And I chose that place because I needed to be in nature after my husband died and my whole career changed. Only everything, as in everybody's life, things keep changing. And I knew that my one resource that I needed on a daily basis was nature. And we still have mountain lions that roam through this valley. We have, and I love that, undomesticated wild energy. That's what this hat does. It tunes me into something different, a different energy of who I am and what's possible. I've watched nature. I had to quit feeding the birds because of the raccoons. I mean, there's this whole string of things that happen in nature. And so, it's like, how do we adapt and live in concert with a natural flow? And that's what nature does for me. It gives me that sense of inner peace, just like the birds are happy, the raccoons are happy, the foxes are happy, and we're all living in the same space and learning how we adapt. I remember when I first moved into this space, and we get big deer, 10 points or whatever. And I was sitting on my back porch, and this snorting and digging in the dirt was happening. And I'm like, oh my, I have entered someone else's sacred space. And that was like, okay, sit back and just be thankful.
We can be neighbors, right?
Yes, and not disrupt their lives any more than people do.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with people. How do we come together in community that share things that are common and allow things that are different? Because that's the world we live in.
When I walk, I look for the bunny rabbits and the squirrels and the crows, and I whistle at all of them because the squirrels, I make them run faster. Bunny rabbits, they may or may not. If I go quietly, they may just sit real still. But yeah, it's that magical moments to me that of other living things that are moving in our space. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so I've come to really appreciate the sacredness of space and how we interact, and then bring that internally with, how do I find the space within myself? How do I expand that space in a way that allows more of me to show up? And I keep finding more.
Well, you're on radio too, right?
I have a weekly FM radio show. It's community radio in our local area. And it has been a joy to tell other people's stories, give them the space to shine. Everyone has a story, and it's only a partial story. But within that partial story, there's always an intersection or a connection that brings it back to community and how we decide to live together. And luckily, in a small village, the mayor, I'm the council, we have high influence because we pretty much know each other. And that influence can be maybe just to allow difference, to include difference, rather than to exit out. So it's been wonderful. This is my 5th year to have my radio show on Rivertime. And every time I think, well, there's no more stories, where am I going to find the next one? Then boom, someone pops in.
Well, and I have been relishing the last month or two, people who know my name. When I do my walk, I'm known. In fact, somebody said hi to me and called me by name last night. And I said, yeah, but I forgot your name. Well, I usually see him with 2 white labs, and he wasn't with his white labs at the time. So he said, that's why I was lost without him with the dogs. But yeah, it just, I belong here. I'm known here. What a nice feeling. And it seems like our world has gotten so impersonal that I think we hunger for it, and sometimes we don't even realize it.
Well, I salute you, Fresh Courage. I salute everyone who'll be listening in, and congratulations, Sharon. I'm so happy for you. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you for being here, Joanne. It means a lot to me. It's a treasured friend.
Indeed, indeed. Go forward.
Thank you. Cool, cool.
Hi, Deanne.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
So thank you for showing up, Duane. I love that. It's kind of amazing to me. Every now and then I'm going through, how did we ever imagine, we don't, but 50 years later, we'd still know people that we knew in high school or people that we were in our neighborhoods growing up. How would, but I have also started looking at people that are slowly walking the street and realize and start kind of imagining, let's go the opposite direction. And what were they like in their vitality? When they had color in their hair, when they had a spring in their step. And I think, Duane, that's kind of how I'm starting to be curious about other people's story too. That they, just because we've lost our fast step and our focus and our color and our hair and vitality doesn't mean we're any different or don't have a impactful contribution to our society and to our families and so forth. So let's see. Well, I'm going to invite another hat person in. And Diana is the person who started this whole question. Is there a book in Sharon? And I had already been branching out, with some courage to do some podcasts. I'd been doing about a year's worth of podcasts. And so that maybe I can be of influence was growing. And so I was open to possibilities. And I talk about that a lot in my book. What are the possibilities? Are you curious about what you could be doing? And the stories I tell in my book, I try to expand what's possible in your mind, because that is kind of where it starts, in your mind. Is it possible? So Diane, welcome to our little launch here. Tell us about your hat. What hat story do you have that makes that your favorite?
Well, what this reminds me of is summer. Breeze in your hair, maybe walking the beach, not a care in the world, right? It's just like, just be, just breathe, just be, like be with the sounds, as you were just saying, Sharon, about the squirrels and just be. And this is actually the opposite of the life I had when I was in corporate. So I spent 26 years in large corporate in the banking space, and I could not be like this. It was very like buttoned up suit, everything pumps, like, you guys, the drill. But you couldn't really show another side of yourself in that, in that kind of environment. But the day came when I was in the banking world. Our bank was actually purchased by Chase. And so we went from the bank that we were the bank that was buying other banks. Now we were in the other chair. We were getting bought by Chase. And that is a totally different role to be in. The whole organization was in turmoil. We did not know who was going to be in charge. We did not, like, all of these decisions that had to be made about facilities and locations and departments and who was staying and who was leaving, and like the heart-wrenching decisions that managers have to make. I had to make some of those. They changed people's lives, and yet we were in the midst of all of this cultural change. I mean, all these things were changing. And I remember I woke up one day and said, I can't do this. I can't do this. This is not healthy for me. This is not, and the thing that really kind of, I guess, the straw that broke the camel's back was when I realized that I was in meetings literally from 8 a.m. until 8 p.m., 9 p.m., 10 p.m. I had no time to be with my people. That was the thing that brought me joy, was mentoring and like working with people. And all of that was taken away because we were in these meetings that went on forever trying to make decisions about people. But the moment came when I said, I can't do this. Like I'm going to die if I keep doing this. So Sharon, I love your book because I mean, it takes courage to say, I had to say to my boss, you know what? When it comes time for you to look at span of control, and those of you that have been in the corporate world, you know what I mean, span of control, I'm ready to have that conversation. And he said, what? I said, well, I happen to know, because I was at senior level meetings, I happen to know he was under a lot of pressure to lower the percentage of people in quote unquote support versus production. I was all support. I ran the project office team. I ran a training. I ran an internal audit group. So span of control, when I said, I'm ready to have that conversation, he was like stunned. But it took courage for me to say that, because at that moment in that world, in that environment, which was a long time ago, but you know, they could have easily said, okay, fine. You know, there's a door, take your stuff and, you know, you're gone. But I trusted, I had this respect for my boss. And he said, you would have been on my list of people to let go. Like this never would have been a thought ever in my mind. Like you've been here for 20, like look at all the, you know, he was stunned. Took me a year to get unwound from him because I was sort of his security blanket for everything that had to do with the merger with Chase. Because I would whisper in his ear, this is the answer. This is, you know, like I would be like grooming him for all these meetings that he has to be in, because I was in a department of 500 people. So it took courage to do that. And I stepped away really not knowing exactly what I wanted to do, but knowing I wanted to work with people. Mentoring people was what lit me up. It was like what, it was just, that was my thing. Like all of this other stuff, it was okay. But like, I loved working with people. I loved knowing like, where do you want to go next? And if I could help them get the training that they needed, or the whatever, the experience on the projects, on the committees, on the, like, I would do what I need to get. I knew they weren't, I was looking out for them, not trying to hold them into my department. So I don't think every manager operates that way, unfortunately. So when that was gone and the joy of that was gone and the stress level kept rising and people were concerned about their jobs and we had a 30% headcount reduction and all these things were happening, I stepped away because I knew there was something else for me to do. This was like 2007, 2008. It was, so that's when I started down my coach training path. And that's kind of how I met Sharon when she was starting to think about the book and building a business, you know, what she wanted to do next. That's how she and I connected. So thank you, Sharon, for letting me come be part of your celebration today. I love the book, and it does take courage, but there's something, when there's something inside us that's saying there's something bigger for you. There's something else for you to do. There are other people that you can help. Like there's something bigger. I didn't know what that was. But, you know, as it turned out, Sharon just alluded, we talked a little bit about her book. What I love to do and what I do, my whole business is around helping entrepreneurs, speakers, and business leaders get their big message out in the form of a book. That's what I love to do. When the first author showed up in my world, it was like, I love them. Like they've got something big. They're all about something big. They want to affect change. They want to help people. They want to start a movement. And so Sharon, I'm just so excited about what's happening for you today and what is about to happen as more people hear about the book.
Yeah, I've always been, I guess from even a teenager, pretty interested, intrigued with potential. You know, of course, when you're a teenager is your own potential, but then to look out on the world and like your employees, their potential and growing them and helping that develop, because you're not one thing and hop to another, you know, with magic. It takes getting prepared and getting groomed and so forth. And so in a lot of ways, my book is trying to bring out your potential. When you don't have a boss, or you're no longer the boss like Diana, what would you rather be? And they don't tell us, and as we retire, that we're the boss now. It's your show. You're the one that needs to get yourself out of bed in the morning. You're the one that needs to have a meaning to get out of the house. One of the stories I've told a few times is I was going up to speak to a senior center in Anacortes, where I was born. And I was there a little early, and I saw somebody sitting in a pickup. And when I went in, they were there. When I came out, they were still there. And I thought, well, he's gotten out of the house and he's gotten dressed. That's good. But if this was his whole social world, I was both glad, but also sad for him if this is how he got socialized, because he was still in this cage of a pickup truck and not actually talking with people. So one of the stories that came to mind while you're talking, Diana, was because what I'm hearing you saying is that there's so many things we have to unlearn now, with all that corporate stuff is beside. Well, I still remember somebody, I don't even actually know, I remember I was at a bank, but I think it was here in the Seattle area, that somebody had gotten word of their loved one being in the hospital. Oh, their husband. Yeah, that's right. And she broke out in a loud sob at work. What doesn't happen here? You know, instead of going in the restroom. But I've often reflected on how happy I was that she expressed it in the moment. The courage to let her heart bleed for her loved one. I don't know if it was a heart attack or what, he lived through it, but for her to be courageous and forthright with her emotions was just priceless to me. So can you comment on that, Diana?
Yeah, you know, it in the kind of going back to the fact that we had to let people go, and I said we had a 30% headcount reduction. I can remember a moment when I had to let some people go off my team, off my project management team, and one of these people was a gentleman in his 60s. And the decisions about who was staying, who was leaving was really based on skill. Like we ranked it, we had to force rank everybody.
Wow.
And like 100 people, we force ranked 100 people. And unfortunately, this particular gentleman, although he could get a lot of things done, he did it not because he followed a project management process, which is what we were supposed to do, but because he knew a lot of people. He'd been around for a long time, so he had this network. And so I can remember when I had to have that conversation with him, like as a manager, it was very hard for me. And especially when I had no idea that this was going to come out of his mouth, when he said, although I understand this is a business decision, I'm most concerned about health insurance. My wife has, you know, he didn't tell me what it was, but, and like they were relying on the insurance from the bank to take care of that. And in that moment, like I couldn't express what I was feeling. I had to hold that in as the manager of the, you know, but I thought about it, as I think about it right now, I can even remember that conversation that I had with him and how hard it was for me. Because you couldn't show that. I certainly couldn't go tell my boss anything about that, because he was the one that was like, get these conversations, have these conversations. Let's just be done with this and move on. It was like, no, they're real people here. So it's that expression, being able to just let out whatever we got to let out. It's healing.
Yeah, transformative. I would have never thought that the day I took all my hats into coaching class, that it would be symbolic of my transformation. But maybe I'll find some more hats around. Well, I usually have a hat on when I go for my walk, but it's more of a sun visor, you know, because I don't have sunglasses. But thank you for showing up and being with me on Zoom on my launch day, Diana. And I need to explain that you might have gotten in the announcement for this that the book is going to be 99 cents today, and my publisher said that somehow it got booked for the 16th instead of the 14th, and so it's still on a pre-launch price today. But Diana's been through this with one of her publishers, authors too, where there's a hiccup on launch day, and so the 99 cent special is my understanding, is going to be on the 16th. But to recover our fumble, we're going to also offer it for 99 cents on Saturday, so the 18th. So I needed to let you know that. Okay, thanks for so much, Diana, your support during this process. I have enjoyed a lot of free things through the people that Diana knows, and man, have I grown this year with all the free training I've gotten. So grateful for the people that are willing to pour into our lives, and what a difference it makes. So thank you for being here and honoring me with your service to me as I grow.
You're quite welcome, my dear. And I'm so excited for you today.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a new page is turning in my life. All right. So just as I was telling my story about hat, when I turned 70, I wore a hat to my birthday party. I believe Juliana might have been there that day.
Yes.
And I told her I was coming out because I was coming out to be visible. And how many people of you have been invisible in your work life, especially emotionally, like Diana was talking about, and to be expressive of your comedy, of your giving, you know, maybe you're a great baker or a great golfer. How many times do we get to express that at work? Okay, so Juliana is a very supportive friend of mine here locally, and we can see her in her office. She's got a cute little pink hat. I love pink and black. So actually, when I went into class, and what really started the hat thing discussion was for me was wearing this to coaching class one day, and I've had a small collection of hats, but Juliana is so impressive to me with how she is involved in our community. I need to grow my appreciation for the people who help make our communities run. And Juliana has done an amazing job with that. One, you know, there was a certain amount of that community involvement that you can put on your resume, but I think she probably does it for other reasons too. So welcome, Juliana, here locally in my community, a friend, and she's quite amazing herself. She likes to sing, but tell us more about, she's going to especially share with us the process of volunteering, because that's a big option for us that are retired. Now, where we volunteer might be our hunting, you know, we have to go on the hunt. But Juliana, welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Thanks, Sharon. Happy to be here. Definitely happy to be here. And you would mention golf, wouldn't you? Earlier, you mentioned golf. And my husband and I like to golf. I'm not very good at it, but I'm working on it. So the joke is, did you golf today or did you goof? So we're both a work in progress in that way. So thanks for having me. And
So is that your golfing hat?
this is not my golfing hat. This is my other summer activity hat and my travel hat that I like to collect little pins, hat pins in different places I go. Right now I went to the ABBA Museum in Sweden, and so I have my ABBA pin, love ABBA, and I have flags from different countries I've been to. And so I do like these fedora style hats. I think they're a lot of fun, and I like the color. It's a pop. I've always heard wear a pop of color, whether it's a hat with the black outfit, just make sure you have a pop of color somewhere. So that's why I like this hat.
I compare notes with Juliana. Where has she been? She likes to cruise, right?
Cruising, haven't done that for a few years, but I haven't done much traveling in a few years. Yes, I do like traveling, and I'm just happy that I can do that. I'm still a career woman. I haven't joined the ranks of the retired yet, but I enjoy working with a lot of retirees and also people working toward a retirement goal. And the one thing we talk about is volunteering and what am I going to do in retirement? And that's a question that everybody, I think a lot of people have. But I've been enjoying working volunteering throughout my whole career pretty much in some capacity. You only have so many hours, so you kind of got to decide, okay, which fits your personality the best. So I've chosen a few in our local community with the Chamber of Commerce. I do a lot with them, volunteering for a lot of activities that they support, and also the Kiwanis Club. I really enjoy Kiwanis Club on a local level, but they're also very international too. So they do a lot of water projects to make sure that communities are getting clean water. They do children's cancer care funding, and so involved in so many different things that it really brings a lot to your life, even while working. And I can imagine what it's going to do when I really have a lot of time to devote to it when I retire. So I would encourage people to think about volunteering early on, so when they're retired, they can actually know that what kind of service club they want to work with and continue that through their retirement years. I see a lot of people in Kiwanis that have done it for 20, 30 years, and now just have a little bit more time to devote to it. So you mentioned things that are bigger than ourselves. There's so much out there that need our attention, and I found that the Kiwanis Club is one that really resonates because it is so international. So but it's also very local. So it kind of has two aspects to it. So whether it's Kiwanis or Lions Club or what have you, I mean, there's so many options out there, and to explore those before retirement, I think is really key, because then you've already kind of worked your way to the process of where do I fit in? What are my talents that I can bring to this particular service club? And I would also look at just really honing in on one service club, because that's really, you're going to need, time to spend with that service club rather than spreading yourself too thin. So do that early on before retirement, I think is going to be key. Yeah, so those are just some thoughts. Like I said, I've been doing it a long time. You just got to schedule it and make sure that you have time for it, and then know that later on in life you might have more time for it. So that's always a good thing.
Seems like you told me one time about your husband getting involved with baking a cake.
Oh.
You're pretty famous for your cakes.
Well, he is. It's literally a cake that does take so much time. It's a triple chocolate raspberry triple decker that we make for fundraisers. And it's really amazing, actually. He taught me the recipe. And so we make it together, which takes less time because there's 2 people, but it's something that he actually came up with. So, and we do make it for fundraisers, and it gets pretty top dollar, I got to tell you, but a lot of time and effort and it goes into it. So yeah, so he likes making that cake.
And you do it as a team now, huh?
Yes, it does take a little bit of time. So we do it as a team for sure.
So how often, how many times a year do you typically make a cake?
Well, let's see. We haven't made it for a couple of years, but when we do, it's probably about twice a year. So 2 different, like 2 different fundraisers, if that's available, we commit to about twice a year to make that cake.
Cool. Yeah, I like chocolate and raspberry a lot. So
Yes.
that story stuck with me.
Okay. Yeah, it goes for a pretty big penny. So that's kind of nice for the fundraising effort of it. So it's all worth it, every penny.
Well, the other thing that impresses me about you, Juliana, is how many people you know. And since you've been in a lot of these organizations, expanded your social network, right?
Yes, absolutely. So absolutely. It's been one of those that's, it's been beneficial in so many different ways for my business, as well as for, the volunteer effort. It makes that, like you said, bigger than ourselves. It helps me to feel like I'm giving back to a community that has given so much to me. And a lot of those people in my work life are in my personal life too, because they also do the volunteering, or they're a part of the clubs that I belong to. So it makes it really, really nice to be able to have that community feeling. And we do that here, as you know. So.
And your singing is both in small groups and big groups. That's taken you a few places around too, hasn't it?
Yes, actually. Yeah. So the church choir, and then another choir, Mosaic choir, who travels around at different places and sings. So I've missed that because we haven't been able to do that for a couple of years. But it's, again, that's another volunteer place that makes you feel really good. And, you're giving something when you see the smiles on the people's faces out in the congregation or wherever the concert might be held. And it really is one of those, you just feel like, wow, they really like what we're doing. They love the music. You're just one part of it. It's a choir, so you're not, it makes it that you don't have to have the best voice in the world to be able to be a part of a choir. So I think when people are, oh, they really would like to sing, but they don't think they have the best voice. You know what? In a choir, you have the people who have the great voices, and then you have those that have not so great, and they kind of meld them together, and it makes it, and that's what choir is all about, right? You're not the standalone. You're not, there by yourself. You have your village of people. So it makes it kind of nice.
I just learned this last week that my editor is in a choir. And I haven't asked her for any stories yet, but a choir actually is what took me to Australia. That was kind of a neat thinking outside the box kind of thing. That was back in the 80s, I think. And but one of my favorite days was we were staying at people's homes, and there was a full moon out, and he said, he had a pool in his front yard, and says, welcome, you get your swimming suit on and go, enjoy the pool. And a full moon and laying on top of the water floating was just an ideal end of the day after we had sung our program. But later in that same trip, we were in Hong Kong. We were in Hong Kong, and we were at a kind of a military base, and we sang and sang and sang, and there was no clapping in between the songs, so we had no idea how well we were being received. And at the end, they gave us a standing ovation that went on, and finally we knew that they liked what we were doing. But it was a long time to wait for that affirmation.
You just sing louder and louder.
Yeah, well, it was the first time that there had been a coming together of different faiths, I guess, into a mutual setting. So I think they were kind of not sure what the protocol for each other congregation was. So that might have led to some of the discomfort, but
Yeah. Well, standing ovation is awesome. I mean, that's when you know you have arrived and they've really appreciated what you brought to them.
yeah.
And they go home and they talk about it. They want a tape of the concert. They want a CD of the concert or something to remember it by and be able to bring it home with them. So, yeah.
Well, I look forward to the day that I can take my book out on the road and that people come and have that to take home with them.
Yay.
And help encourage others to have courage. What area in your life, Juliana, have courage played a big part for you?
Well, I think just being out there in the community and volunteering, kind of putting yourself out there. You don't really know what it's going to bring back to you. Like the choir, you don't know how they're going to react. Like you said, you're like, okay, I'm kind of putting myself out there. And if you're ever given a solo part, then you're really putting yourself out there. And, so it's all rewarding but courage, you have to have courage to go out and make things happen. And I really appreciate the title of your book, Fresh Courage. And I just think it's going to be an awesome, I'm so proud of Sharon for, wow. I remember when this was just a glimmer in your eye, right? Let's just, see where this can go. And here we are today. Fresh Courage is open and available to everybody. So I'm really proud of you and your tenacity to, because she'd run things by me and, it's just neat to see that it's come to the launch of it. So very proud of you.
Well, I'm looking forward
My
to the
hat's
day that
off to you, Sharon.
I'm looking forward to the day that I can travel as a speaker to talk about disrupting retirement and helping people consider how many volunteer areas could they see, because when we have a meaning for getting out of bed in the morning and becoming social and giving, it lengthens our life. It adds longevity to our life. So I enjoy the possibilities that I see in the future for the book too. So.
Well, we'll look forward to it. I'm ordering my copy today.
Okay, so if you want an autographed copy, like Juliana has already put in her ad for her request for, the best way to do that is with the order form versus through Amazon, because the order form goes through my local editor here, and I bought some pencils. Some signing pens here that I'm ready to go with when the paper copy comes out in about 10 days. So just need to do a clarification that Amazon did not get the 99-cent special setup for today. So that will be happening on Thursday, the 16th, I believe, but for sure on the 18th. The pre-order, it's difficult to change that price on a pre-order when it's still in pre-order status. So.
Well, I would like the Kindle version and the signed copy, so I'm getting two.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We all need fresh courage.
Yes. Well, and I was going to also comment that when I took some blocks, like art blocks like this, into my boss at Boeing, that was another time that I was sticking my neck out. I was so scared. But it's when I left his office, I was surprised that he did not shoot down my idea of having art at work. He actually left the door open to see what I would do with it. What a gift that was. I have been forever grateful that he didn't, call me stupid or crazy or whatever and get out of my office, you're wasting my time. He wasn't that way at all. He left the door open. So that helped me keep making those steps forward. All
And I
right. Well,
enjoy those squares that you make, those rectangles, not squares, that you make with the different affirmations on them. I have a few through my office that I've had for a couple of years, so I might need to freshen up my stash. So if you have a couple extras, I'll buy them from you.
okay. All right. So they are available, my art blocks on Etsy store, Quilted Petunia. So our next guest is actually having cataract surgery today,
Oh,
but she gave me access to one of her files that she has presented. And why she is special to me, Fran Fisher is the person who created the process, the signature process of what I do with my clients. And Fran is a coach of the coaches. She is somebody that you have to go through in order to get certified as a coach. And her process is so unique, and it what means so much to me. Oops, this is slipping off. I didn't get it on there well. But my essence statement, and somebody mentioned, Duane, I think, commented on it, is I start out saying, I am precious jewel of wisdom. Wisdom means a lot to me. I'm quite the reader. And so that describing myself I know that that's what's the core of me, gives me a lot of confidence. So let's see, Brooke, are you ready with the video? So let's play that. It's about 10 minutes long.
Fran is a master certified coach. She's a visionary leader, international speaker, published author. She specializes in mentoring experienced coaches for their PCC and MCC accreditations. She is recognized internationally as one of the pioneers in our field. She's founded one of the first coaching schools, which I am so privileged to have been able to attend, that was accredited by the ICF. She served as founding executive board member. She's been serving as an ICF credentialing assessor since 1998. Fran's vision is a world where everyone is enjoying a rich and fulfilling life, living true to their essence, life purpose, and values. She believes this is what the world needs of us, to be true to ourselves. And that coaching is the contribution we make for this transformation in our world. So, Fran, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh my gosh, you just bring back the memories, Allison, of those early days. Thank you.
So let's get into a little bit. So when you talk about calling forth greatness, what are you talking about when you speak about greatness?
Thank you. Well, for the nature of my business for the last 30 years has been, this has been the nature of my work. And it was guided by, and this is some context, I'll answer your question. It was guided by these three questions that humanity has been asking ourselves, since the dawn of consciousness. Who am I? What is my purpose? And how do I live it? Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right. So for the benefit of today, when I use the word greatness, to me, it's synonymous with the essence of who I am. And so that would include my core true nature, the pure nature of myself, not this developed personality, habituated person who, with all these coping skills in life to protect myself from getting hurt. You know, I'm talking about the core essence. And so I have been helping people, facilitating them and discovering, like yourself, that essence and creating powerful statements that they can own within themselves and live true to as empowering, in way to empower ourselves. For B, well, let me put it this way. I've had a motto that says the key to living the life that you love and doing the work that you love is living true to the essence of who you are. That's where our power points are, our point of power that we can draw on to live from, and not get confused with the difference between the created self, you know, and we'll talk more about that. But that includes my core values, my core strengths, my empowering beliefs, my true authentic vision for the world, for who I want to be being in the world, my life purpose, my life mission. Those are included in that core nature, that essence of who I am. And Allison, I would like to bring up the definition from Deepak Chopra because it's a beauty. Let me share the screen here.
There you go.
And okay. Look what Deepak Chopra says. Essence, the unified field of all possibilities, of pure being, pure awareness, pure consciousness. The more we live from this field of pure being, the more our doing expresses it. And so that's why I say our being leads our doing. So when we know who we are at essence, we can live from there, and that will have an impact on how we're showing up and the impact in the world around us. Yeah. So what's important about this? I've hinted at it, that it's the key to having a life worth living and being who we want to be being in the world. So what I've discovered in the last 30 years in helping people access the essence of who they are and discover it and articulate it in an I am statement or a word or a phrase or a symbol even, you know, that that calls forth their highest and best. And the impact for people who do learn to live true to the essence of who they are, they live more meaningful lives and they make more fulfilling contributions in the world. And they experience more freedom to be, you know, trusting themselves and trusting that the world is a safe place to be their authentic selves. It helps them access their creativity more fully and their confidence, and experience more ease and more joy in life. Okay. Yeah. So today, with the use of this worksheet that I sent out, we can ask for some comments and specific questions about their experience. And I also have a tool that I want to share. I call it the 5 qualities tool, that everyone will be able to take home today and apply for themselves, with their clients, in the world, in their work. It's a beauty.
So you've been working with people, coaches and clients for years and years on how to discover and live from their essence.
Yeah.
What's the difference you've seen that make in people's lives and importantly, particularly to this audience, to their coaching?
Well, and I did touch on that, so I'm going to build on it. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. So for example, and we're going to talk about the I am, and we're going to visit this handout today, this workbook. I thought I would share also an answer to your question, Allison, that in fact, ask you first.
Yeah.
What did you notice about having that I am, those guiding statements? How did they serve you in your life and your work?
Yeah, so I'll speak to that, but over the last 17 years and today, what shifted for me today
Cool.
is, so I carried around for 17 years this statement of I am, and it was clarifying, and it was empowering, and it was kind of unifying. And, it was Margie Summerscales Hyler, who I also know because of you, thank you very much, and trained with many times, and is so awesome. She was like, Allison, maybe I'll revisit that. Like, maybe you've already lived into that vision. Maybe you're there already. And she was absolutely right. And I didn't go back and change it. And I did this morning. And the experience I had this morning was, it was like I just breathed new life into myself.
Oh, lovely.
That's the biggest,
Lovely.
what I can experience.
Well, and you're reminding me that my first I am, calling forth my greatness, I used to say, I am the bringer of the dawn.
Oh my gosh, that's a bit bigger than that.
Yeah. It was bringing the light, and consciousness. And one day, one of my faculty members said, Fran, you already brought the dawn, for heaven's sakes. What's next?
What's your next act?
So I revisited, and I got help because I couldn't do it myself. It's so hard to see ourselves at essence because we've got all these limiting beliefs and inner critic and all these, filters in the way. And so I couldn't do it by myself. I needed the help, and I had the assistance of wonderful experts to assist me. And I came up with the one that's been serving me for many, many years now. I am divine inspiration. Lovingly calling forth essence. It's who I'm being and what I'm doing, right? It's just, that's the core. And what also serves me is the answer to that second question, what is my purpose? So that's what I call my I am statement, my essence, my vision of myself at my highest and best. Okay, so my I am statement, I am divine inspiration. My purpose is what I do that empowers me to be divine inspiration. Okay, the being and the doing, two sides of the same coin, me, the being and the doing. Remember, the being leads the doing. So what serves me, what empowers me to be divine inspiration? Well, my purpose is to let divine love and light shine through my body, mind, and spirit. Let, that's the key, doing. Let. That's when little Franny gets out of the way and accesses her divine design. It brings me back, regrounds, recenters, brings me back to the truth of my being and shifts me out of, I've seen some of these questions. Some of our folks today are asking, well, what if I get triggered? What do I do? This is what brings me back to present moment. Take a breath, pause.
Okay, thank you so much for showing up for my book launch this morning. It has been a delight to be with you today. And again, let me apologize for the mistake that the Amazon has not made my Kindle version today 99 cents, and they still have it in a pre-order status. So the 99 cent special will be happening, I believe, on the 16th, but we for sure can have it that price on Saturday the 18th. So tell your friends and family. And what Fran was just talking about there is the work that I do when people work with clients, because I want you to be living from your divine essence. And that's why we're here, what we're here for. And I use the term throughout my book somewhat. It feels like heaven on earth when we're living from the DNA we've been born with. It just makes life so ideal. And I want that for everybody. So as you read my book and think about the greatness that is in you, I would be delighted to help you find and express that through an essence statement and through your retirement years, because you're the boss now. Thanks for joining us. And we'll be doing this again and later today for the afternoon people. So thank you, and pick up my book on Amazon.
Thanks, Sharon. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Blessings thank you for being here. That has been a fun day
It has
already.
been. Great.